Okay, since you're live, look at this. A lot of tests today to find out a little bit how the best position of the camera, the best position of the microphone. So for the people that's following us, we are obviously outside to the Radio Italia Uno studios, and to the AgriAdventures one, and we are in a garden. For you can see a little bit the background. This one, this is cypresses. This one, I don't remember even what type of plant.
Local, that one.
Second?
Local.
Local, okay, perfect. And so we are at the Joe's Connected Garden. And today is a special day because yesterday and today there was the opening of the garden. It's a 1 year journey, I can say, Rosanne. Every year you start to organize this open garden to show about the project. So the Joe's Connected Garden, it's what, 14 years, 15 years?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something, so 15 years that is going on, and it's really interesting to share with the followers for Radio Italiano dell'Aide, also AgriAdventures on YouTube and on the different socials, include the podcast, about this project, because in my opinion it's an amazing project. It's a connection between 3 houses, I think, or 4 houses.
Oh, there's 5 in this group, but there's other houses that are over the other side of Main North Road, and there's about 15 to 20 houses altogether, but there's 5 that were open to the public this weekend.
Perfect. And the idea, the main idea is that all those gardens are connected, and they grow vegetables and fruits using sustainable and permaculture too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
that's right. And so it's an amazing idea, because if you think about everybody, they could do that. Like if you'll be in a good neighborhood with your friends, that they want to share the journey of growing a garden, that is amazing. So I'm with Rosanne at the moment, one of the 3 members. If you want, I can move a little bit like that. And Rosanne, I was wondering if you would like to tell us a little bit the history of this garden, like where it started from, why did you decide to do this?
Well, originally it started probably 12, 13 years ago, where Joe and I had our houses back to back, and we've been friends for a while, and we just decided to share the jobs and the produce of the gardens, so that we didn't double up and grow too much of one thing and not enough of another. And he was very time poor because he worked full time, and so I do a lot of his watering and time consuming easy jobs, and he'd do some of the heavy work that I couldn't do. So it was just a very informal private arrangement between the 2 of us, but it didn't stay like that for very long. We thought we had a big go, because they're quite large quarter-acre blocks, and we had maybe 40, 50 fruit trees, and we thought that's pretty good, you know, we're happy. But then I went along to a meeting of the Rare Fruit Society to identify a fruit that's growing on the boundary of our 2 yards, and nobody there could say what it was, but we got hooked on this Rare Fruit Society, and it sort of opened up a whole new world for us, because people were growing things that I'd never heard of, or I couldn't pronounce the name, like a Djibouti carper and things. I'm thinking, well, what is that? And Joe is a collector. He used to collect stamps, but now he collects plants, and so he just wanted to grow all these things, and our yards were absolutely full. So we started off with a neighbour next door, who was an old lady, about 80, and she had land that was just full of weeds that she wasn't using. So we said, please, can we put some fruit trees in your land? And a bit cheeky, but it took us 2 years to ask her, but she said, yeah, sure. So it was a good deal for her, because we cleared the weeds, we planted the trees, we pruned them, we fertilised them and watered them with our own water, which I don't think is actually legal, but that's all right. We didn't want to make any imposition on her at all. And she could come and pick the fruit. She was getting a pretty good deal, I think. So she said yes. So, all right, another 20, 25 fruit trees went in, but that still wasn't enough. And there was the opportunity to use another garden directly across the road, which was the biggest garden of the lot. I think that's about 1,300 square meters.
Oh, wow.
So it's bigger than these others. And that was sort of disused. Nobody was living there because the lady who was 90 had died and her daughters didn't know what to do with it. And so they said, look, you can use our land to put your nursery. And I thought, well, as long as Joe doesn't actually put anything in the ground, we're probably all right. But, you know, it's quite a long story. I don't know how long we've got. I'm trying to condense it, you know,
Yes.
to 5 minutes or something. But so that was the fourth one. And then there's the house next to Joe's that became part of it as well, because the neighbour just went to Asia to be with a woman and he left everything behind. He said, you know, buy my house, you can have my car and my clothes and everything that's here. And he's the same size as Joe, so Joe got a new wardrobe and a house, and it was in a very, very bad condition. It was overrun with weeds and vines and trees and hadn't been looked after. So we put a couple of young people in there that were keen and energetic and young and fit to clear it up. And they had a particular interest in growing vegetables and herbs, which complemented our fruit, because most of our plantings were fruit rather than vegetables, which is a little bit different from most community gardens that tend to focus on vegetables and with a few fruit trees. So during this time, the Open Gardens people found out about us. Oh, well, they found out about us because Joe told them, actually. I'm just trying to, how did they find out about it? Joe had this crazy idea that they might be interested in us, and I thought, nah, you know, it's not going to interest them because it's an urban farm, really. It's not a tidy, manicured garden with not a leaf out of place. And so I wasn't keen on the idea because I'm a fairly private person, but they came out and they looked and they said, wow, this is really interesting and different. And I thought, oh no. And they said, but, you know, we had a hole in the fence that we climbed through. We didn't even have a gate. And there were lots of safety issues that had to be attended to. So they gave us 15 months. So we had our first opening in February 2013.
Okay.
And so this is the 10th time that we've done it.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
So well, it's a milestone, really, because very few people stick it out to open for 10 years with Open Garden. And I know why, you know, because it's a lot of work, and it's like, it's not just a weekend that it's open, it's months of preparation and a lot of work. And every year when we're doing it, this is the last time, but we usually have several hundred people. I don't know what the numbers are for this weekend. There's probably 500 or 600 that have been through. And everybody loves it so much. And now we're sort of known a bit in the media. And the other important thing was when I started the Facebook page, well, that gives you access to a lot of people that wouldn't know you otherwise. And
absolutely.
you know, I quite like writing, and so I got busy and scribbled away, and suddenly we had all these hundreds and then thousands of followers on Facebook, and had more extra Facebook pages, and the media knew about us, and so they'd come to us every year and send someone out. And so my idea of being anonymous and private and secret had long disappeared.
It's partially gone. Well, at least you're in your little paradise over here outside the open garden. That should leave you alone for a little bit.
Well, I almost feel like I've become one of these awful influencers, you know. It's not really.
Well, with this dress, definitely, you know, with nice pictures.
And it's not my thing, but I just believe really passionately in the principles of permaculture, which are earth care, people care, fair share. You know, it's a way of life, and it's something that informs everything that we do. And I think the world is not a happy place at the moment. And if more people live their lives according to those principles, and, you know, the bigger picture of climate change and the pollution of the earth and things like that, if people grew their own food and were conscious about their waste and were more caring to each other, then the world is a much better place. And so that's the sort of message we're trying to get out there. We're not just about growing food, although that's a cover, I suppose, for what we do. it's about growing awareness and information and community, and to try to do as much as we can to stop this impending catastrophe that's coming towards us if we don't change our habits. Quite soon, we might have 5 to 10 years to turn things around, but it's getting very close, and so it's become urgent. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, the other good thing is the fact that a lot of people has lost the knowledge. Like my grandparents, they were capable to grow garden, vegetables, looking after the animals. While nowadays, especially the young generation, but people like me, and I'm really good with technology, but they're going to give me a seed, I don't know what to do with it. So it's having the opportunity to share the knowledge and reestablish this sort of stream of communication information that had been lost before it was passed generation to generation. And now, if we're interested to be more sustainable, especially in food-wise, we need to look where to find this information. And I think one of the places where it's possible to find this type of information and education is here at the Joe's Connected Garden. For the people that's in Adelaide, obviously, if you are outside, maybe not.
Well, we've still got the Facebook page, and we're going to revamp up the website as well, you know, so that people can learn in that way. But the great thing about this information age is that it's so easy to access, you know, this little matching box that we've all got in the corner. You just type in what you want to know, whether it's something really silly or something really profound, and immediately you get the answer, and it's free. And the other thing is, if you decide that you want to become a gardener, there's wonderful resources in the public library system. They get all the gardening magazines, all the new gardening books. You can borrow them free. And there's also things like Talkback Gardening and, you know, various free courses and events and things that you can go to. But that deficit in information, very much my generation suffered from that, because my parents and grandparents also knew how to grow food, and I'm part of the baby boomer generation, and there was a shift in consciousness in the 50s and 60s that shop bought was better. So, you know, I remember when we'd get shop ice cream instead of homemade, and oh, this is so good. And it was just weird. People just lost interest in growing things and making things because it was an affluent time and people were interested in consuming and having the latest thing. And whereas now, you know, you try to reuse and only buy new things when you absolutely have to.
When you absolutely have.
So, you know, I find that the younger generation, like as in the 20s and 30s perhaps, are much more aware of these issues than perhaps people in their 40s and 50s, you know, because the baby boomers missed out on it. And I feel like I didn't pass it on very well to my children. But I think the young people, because they're faced with the reality of climate change and not having a very good place to live, they're wanting to learn. They're hungry for that information. And a lot of the children that we have come to the garden, they're also very interested to learn the skills and to be aware of the issues, because I don't know what the curriculum is in the school because I don't have young children anymore, but I would hope that they're teaching them about, in their science lessons, about what's happening to the planet.
Definitely. Hopefully, yes. And I know that there are, some topic correlated. So I was thinking if you have a chance to speak with Andrew, speak more about technical side, if it's possible, correlated with the garden. So Andrew is another member of the Joe's Connected Garden, and with him we'll have a chance to speak a bit more about the garden itself. And well, he's gonna probably tell you more easy way because he's really quick on communication, which is really good. So welcome, Andrew, to the Radio Italia Adelaide and the AgriAdventures channel. Taran. And so thank you for having us here, by the way, which is
most welcome.
Always nice to be welcome over here and discover every time something new. Before we were checking out the yabbies with my son, which I didn't know what the yabbies are till I got over here.
You do.
Yes, now I do. So how did you jump on here? What's happened? Like you have a long story of gardening, for what I remember, since you were young. Is this right?
Oh yes. Look, I've been gardening since I could crawl.
Mm.
My earliest memory was I had planted some plants on the weekend with my father, and I proudly went and pulled them up and showed them as he got home on the Monday night. And look, Dad, the roots haven't grown yet. And I vaguely remember this, right, that's it, he's getting his own spot.
Destroying it.
So yeah, from then onwards, I had my own little veggie garden. It would have been about 3 meters by 3 meters, with a path down the middle of it. And the back half I grew flowers, mixture of perennials and annual flowers, and the front I grew veggies.
Okay.
And so I had a mixture of flowers and veggies. So I had sunflowers that were way above my head, as you can imagine, as a little kid, if you've got 7-foot high sunflowers.
Yes.
So it allowed me to grow and experiment as a child. And I always remember an uncle coming to help me, and he said he'd help me weed my carrots. He started at one end of the row and I started at the other. There were carrots left at my end. He'd pulled all my carrots out and left the weeds. So as a between 3 and 4-year-old, I told him, you may always come and talk to me while I'm doing the carrot weeding, but you will never work another weed out again.
Wow.
So yes, that was the effort of doing gardening from a young age. And one of my earliest memories is looking up like that into the face of a turkey. All right, so that gives you an idea how little I was, looking straight up into a turkey. So we've always had poultry, and we've always had veggies, and always done our own compost. And so I've learnt from a very young age soil care. Okay. That's your earth care.
Yes.
And growing up with good home cooking. I missed out on what Rosanne was telling you about, of the bought.
Yes.
My parents were of the older generation, but they gave me the schooling in teaching me. Both parents were good gardeners, so they both taught me how to garden. My mother taught me how to cook. My dad taught me how to do things with my hands.
Build stuff, yeah.
So that meant I got the well-rounded education, which is fantastic. It comes in really good stead now. At this part of life, you know, we can walk into the garden, Joe can say, I've got a problem. I know what I want, I'm not sure how to fix it. We come up with a solution, and it gets fixed.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you told me one time that you also been studying in
oh yes,
industry.
I'm an agricultural scientist, as a degree in agriculture. So yes, and I've worked in those fields. So yes, I have experience.
Even though, like, the side of the big production, not just the side of your home gardening.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Which is kind of important to know, because a lot of time people think that the gardening, the home gardening, it's more a game for fun, while the industrial is serious. But when you have somebody that's been studying in the industrial and now is dedicating himself on this type of gardening, there is a meaning behind.
Yes, and I guess because you learn in the home garden. I had family always on property, so I grew up being able to be on the weekends on big farms, and then I've worked in the industry, in both broadacre and the horticultural industry, and then to come back and work in gardens. Our weeders are just disappearing in the distance.
We have geese
we
going
have
around.
ducks wandering around, yes, doing the snail removal for us.
Yeah.
Very important in a permaculture garden.
Absolutely.
So working on both scales, the advantage with the home garden is you can do greater soil amendments.
Okay.
Because you've got a smaller area, so you can actually put the money into that smaller area and do things that are perhaps more radical than you can do on the broadacre. So some of the broadacre farmers were putting ripping tines behind very large bulldozers. The tines were up to 2 meters deep under the ground with wings on to lift the clay, turn it on the top of their sandy soil to then add the clay in. But that clay was then very sodic. They then had to increase it. And it wasn't a process that they undertook lightly. It was a very expensive process. But in the home garden situation, we can be more like the horticulture.
Yeah.
I know in the horticulture situation, there was a strawberry farm, and they said, oh, yeah, look, the clay's down 6 meters. So we brought the machines in. We brought the clay up from 6 meters. We've mixed it in with the sand, put the beds together, and now we have perfect strawberry beds. But that's an enormous expense. But on high production horticulture, they can afford to do it. And in a home garden, if it's only for a small veggie garden, you also might be able to afford
that
to do it. And then you've got the perfect environment. So if you need somewhere that's acidic, if you need somewhere that's alkaline, if you need somewhere that's neutral, if you need a shady area, you can put the shade up. If you need it netted to keep the birds out, you can do all of those things in a home garden.
Yeah.
Because you've got all those, and you can create all those little climates and differences.
So you're mainly saying to us that if we instead than working with big production, we all have all veggie garden, we will have more resources involved in a better quality product, in a more sustainable production.
It's automatically fresher. If you walk out to your back door, walk down to your veggie garden, pick the veggie, walk back inside, chop it up as either salad or cook it, 15, 20 minutes later, everything's back on the plate and you're eating it. There's no way you can get that from commercial. It doesn't matter how good a commercial sense is. It's usually 3 days to a couple of weeks old by the time it gets to your plate. So it's got to be fresher. It's got to be better for you. If you've done everything right, if you've got a good, organic, rich, homegrown soil, homegrown composts, it will be more nutrient dense. We talk of nutrient density. Some people poo-hoo it and say, oh no, the commercial stuff's just as good as the other. There's actually a suggestion at the moment. They were testing fruits and veggies of both ilks. And if it's well grown, well resourced with lots of fertilizers that are homegrown fertilizers and manures, and done well, it's way more nutrient dense. And again, the age from picking to eating.
Exactly.
So because it's more nutrient dense, it's healthier for you. Because it's healthier for you, you're going to live a better life. You're going to be more productive in your life. So it's got to be better. The other thing is, we talk of food miles. How many food miles is there from your back door to your veggie garden, or out, which might be in your front yard, might be in your backyard?
Absolutely.
A few footsteps.
Absolutely.
No fuel.
No fuel.
Nothing, right? On the broadacre, a lot of times it's a monoculture. So how do you control the insects? Great difficulty. Here in our urban setting, we encourage people to grow every possible plant you can. So we grow flowers as well as veggies, as well as fruit. We have small umbriferous ones as well, so that we can encourage small wasps, small predators, ladybirds, lacewings, everything you can imagine. We have plants that grow aphids to feed the ladybirds. It doesn't matter. We want to have a full microclimate and micro ecosystem. So the entire ecology is there.
Absolutely.
And by doing that, we don't spray anything. We don't have to. And people say to Joe, quite often, somebody says, oh, I've got a problem with this insect on that. Joe scratches his head and said, I don't know how to deal with it. I don't have those problems. Because we have so many different plants, that we have so many different insects, we don't have a problem. It's balanced. The system stays balanced. That's why the gardens are a little messy, because you have to have a little bit of leaf litter here. You have to have a few weeds there to cover through the season so that the crops are there. So the insects are there.
And that is I think probably the majority of the work is done in the beginning to let it start. and then the ecosystem itself start to run.
Yes, without interfering with it too much.
Yeah.
So it's teaching people to start with how to be a good community, and Rosanne's spoken about that. How you make lovely community.
Absolutely.
The next thing we do is teach people how to deal with their soils, because once people have their soil right, and they can put a plant in, and it just grows, it's all right. If you don't deal with the soil and you just put the plant in and it dies, you get disheartened. Exactly. And as soon as somebody's disheartened, they may not try again. Now, if you really keep trying, Joe has a foam box up there on the veranda, which you may get to see later, with plant tags in it. He claims at the moment there's between 10 and 15,000 plant tags. They're all of the dead plants, the ones that didn't make it.
Yes.
But as you can see behind us, there's green. There are plenty of different plants here in the garden.
I was actually thinking, we have a little bit of technology over here. We're going to try out something partially new. I was thinking if we can have a quick look at the garden, a walk.
A walk as far as the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth will take us.
Yeah, as far as technology can take us. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so I'll grab the microphone. So for the people that's following, you have to remember, the people following on the radio, they need names of things. So when we speak about something, just say, look at that or look at the other is not going to work, because they have to see things. So we're going to say.
So thankfully, Joe is fairly good. He does things like this. Oops, hang on. Excuse me, Ed.
That's
I'm diving in behind here.
That's something disappear. Oh no.
So behind us.
Oh, look at this.
Voila! This is Joe's idea.
Lovely.
Are they in focus?
Moringa oleifera. Yep, absolutely. Horseradish, the tree one.
So that is the plant right over the back through the foliage.
Yeah, the one.
Just see a trunk going up into the distance.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so
let me throw these in the ground again.
Let's try out this virtual experience for the people that's following. We're going to switch the camera in the opposite direction. Tack. And you're going to just take us.
Okay, so let's start from where we are here.
Okay.
This big tree.
Yeah, okay.
Is an avocado.
Okay.
And if I just swing up here somewhere, where's that one hiding?
Actually,
here it is. Here we go. There's the avs.
Here you are. Look at this. Lovely. So, beautiful plant.
Round here, Emperor Mandarin.
And look at this.
And starting, hang on. One of the Hawaiian guavas.
Nice.
Locust tree.
Now we're going to be against the light, so probably
locust tree, so just spin past it. Go past that.
Yep.
We have another citrus, which I think is a blood orange from memory. And while you're in the shadow, come this way a bit, you'll be in the shadow. Up there, we have a banana. I think that one's blue Java. There are several varieties of bananas we have here. And then the leaves just in the bottom of the banana there, that's black sapote.
And these all, I have so many questions,
grapevines here.
Yep.
Shonotto, which is citrus. This bed of citrus trees here, so just show along the ground.
Yep.
They're actually planted on a concrete footpath in a raised bed.
Oh, okay. So that's how you can see for the people that's following video. This is the
orange
bed.
plastic sitting on the concrete.
So that is stop the humidity going around or whatever.
It's actually a root barrier. Okay. So things don't get up into the bed.
We have a fence over there. So that was another garden, or did you put the fence?
The fence is around the pond to stop people drowning in it.
Okay, so let's have a look at it. Let's have a look, and then we're going to see the pond.
Before we get to the pond,
I
think the phone will take us just this far.
Yep.
We have a tamarillo just there. Careful of the light.
Yeah.
We have spaliered pears on the edge.
Okay.
This one here is known as devil's claw. It's the rootstock you graft all your tomatoes and egg fruits onto. If you have a look here, carefully get the light right. Can you see the spikes all the way along here?
We can.
On both sides of the leaves.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
To protect yourself from the birds or from us?
From us. Okay. Apricot tree, choco. Choco's the vine here.
Yep.
You'll get it close to the camera end. So choco's the vine. That's Jerusalem artichoke. How fertile the soil is. Look, it's all the way up there.
Yeah.
Look, I will stand next to it. My reach is 8 feet. My arm is 8 feet.
Wow.
Okay, so
Yes.
3 meters plus. Coffee.
Coffee,
Coffee.
Arabica.
Everybody wants coffee. There's
Here
coffee.
you are, exactly. Little one, which is this position where the plant should be.
Quince in the background there.
Quince in the
It's
background.
been eaten a bit, but it's fine. Through here.
So how we manage the space for the people that's following, or you can see, these are gardens. They're simply the backside of a house. And then we have a forest that is managed in permaculture. And over here, what do we have?
This was an old swimming pool that was converted into a pond, a lily pond. It has about waist deep mud in the bottom.
Okay.
Lilies, goldfish, and yabbies, which you saw earlier today.
And yabbies, do you eat them, or what would the use of the pond actually? What do you...
In the early years, when Rosanne told you of the early years, she rang Joe up and said, "What are these monsters chasing me in the house?" It was a rainy day and they went out walking and chased her into the back door.
Because I remember the only time where I've seen the yabbies, so you want to call them, it was in Perth, and there was the blue one.
Yeah, so you're more like a crayfish.
Yes.
Okay, this one here is called wolfberry.
Wolfberry.
Wolfberry, nasty spikes.
Uh-huh.
While we're here, this is one of the strawberry guavas. See, look at all the fruit. It's a little way off yet.
Beautiful.
Oh no, hang on. I can even do this. Turn the camera this way.
Yep.
Go on.
What, eat it?
Yes.
Okay. Yummy.
Yummy. Okay. See, I've already converted one to the garden. Okay, over here we have one of the dragon fruit varieties.
Okay.
Now, if you just look through the net, see the big flowers?
Yep.
Now, when it flowers inside the net here, when it flowers inside the net, no fruit. Outside the net, fruit. They're pollinated by microbats. Microbats can't quite get through this net, size net. So the outside, they're getting pollinated, inside they're not. So we will adjust the netting size around those later.
For that,
yes.
Absolutely.
This would be a plum. Not sure which variety. Here's some more dragon fruit, beautiful coloured ones.
Exactly, look how beautiful they are. It makes you feel alive, be surrounded from all these green.
Oh yes, you've got.
And this life.
They're still here. If you go down, go around that corner there.
Probably I have to. Yep.
Yep. Go down close to the mesh. You should be able to see the yabby sitting on the. There, and there's one over close down here, and there's one down here too.
I don't know for the people that's following if you can see them. Definitely, I can.
Beautiful bronzy leaves. This is new growth coming on a mango. New growth coming on a mango here.
Okay.
In a pot. In fact, Costa from Gardening Australia ate one of the mangoes off that with us when he did his Gardening Australia trip before. Then down here, absolutely almost right, dragon fruit.
The dragon fruit.
This is the pinky purple scented version. Absolutely sweet and delicious. Now, if we go this way, you don't lose camera because of that.
Okay.
So bananas, showing how we make biochar, wood, charcoal.
Okay.
Around here, lily pond. Little lily pond here where he's growing some interesting versions of lotus.
What were those?
Oh, they're crab apples.
Ah, okay. I got it. Yeah.
Crab apples, and
I
you can
had
see there's a fig down here. One of the 280 varieties of figs we have growing in this garden.
Wow. Well, some tomatoes.
Of course, tomatoes here. Look, see.
Yep.
Yum yum.
Yum.
Okay. Wish you had smell the tomatoes. This way, I think we're okay. We tested before.
Yep.
So if we have a look back there, that tree with a little net in it, that's a Japoticaba.
Okay.
And
which I don't know, but
grows little grape-like fruit straight out of the trunk.
Okay.
And then underneath the bottom, there's 3 wicking beds set up. In the bottom there, you can see we have gingers and turmerics all through the bottom.
Yeah, I can see.
Different varieties of each through there.
Good use of
Custard apple over there.
Yeah. And we probably haven't covered a full.
We have covered about half of one of the connected garden.
Alpha one. So I assume that there's a lot of more things going on. Obviously, I said we're using something that's a bit new. Maybe the next time we're gonna have a bit more Wi-Fi around, and we cover more. We can speak more about it. The other option is obviously coming over here, coming over and visit the open garden, and we can have a quick chat.
Have a look straight up into your avocado canopy again now while you're underneath it.
Yep.
You can see the avocados in there, and you can see how we've chopped the tree off. This tree regularly grows to 9 meters high, and we have to keep taking the crown off to keep it down. We have a self graft here which stops it falling apart because it was a twin trunk. Been grafted.
So you graft together.
Yeah.
So it's
like
it's more stable. Here we are back. So we've done a little round tour. My son saying hi. We're back, and the radio is also all good. Perfect, people. There was a good. I think it was kind of successful test. Yeah. Of course. Let's have a chat.
See if I can get Joe.
Don't forget the microphone. So at this point, yeah, it's quiet. So as you see, it's more than an experience to come over and obviously have a chat to speak with Joe, Rosanne, Andrew, and the opportunity to learn about. And I'm really curious. Obviously, today we don't have the time to speak about it, but understanding how these plants, they're working together, if there are rules you have to follow for which one you have to put where. And so all these type of things are advanced information that definitely we won't be able to send out in one episode of AgriAdventures. However, for the people that's curious, they can find the Facebook page, as Rosanne was saying before. She's close by me at the moment, and then Joe's Connected Garden. And then we're going to have Joe actually that's sitting with us now. Welcome.
Hello, Simone.
How are we going?
We're going well. I'm just in the middle of a demonstration of summer pruning.
Okay, so we stopped you doing your work, so it's going to be just a couple.
I've told them to go and start chopping up a few trees themselves.
Okay, so as asked for Rosanne, now I would like to ask you, why did you want to do this thing? Why the Joe's Connected Garden? Like, it's passion yours, family, what was the motive?
It seemed like a good idea.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, well,
It seemed like the right thing to do.
I was trying to build up a little bit of suspense, you know, for people that's following on the radio.
There are some things that you say, this is the right thing to do. And when you see people saying, how do I do this? How do I do that? And then going and doing it themselves, you say, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen that you have the side of the education is really strong in you, something you really like.
Yes.
Why?
It's always been that case. I've been involved in education in various forms since I was 16. At that time, it was groups of young people for spiritual education, and it has not stopped since.
Perfect. And I know that there are groups of children from school, the local school, coming over often to speak with you. What do you give them to do? I mean, over here, there's to be an amazing, what do you say, experience to go and discover all these things, but I think they come over to learn more how to grow stuff. So what do you do?
So many people don't have big yards. So it depends on the season. We'll do propagating, planting, we'll do pruning, we'll do all of the things that you normally do in a garden, but the context is more with what you can do at home. Growing vegetables in foam boxes on concrete. Making
Okay.
your own soil mix.
Okay, it's
very
big.
simple
That
things.
is very, it's really important to know how to recognize the soil and what's the richness, if it's too fat or too,
Yeah. And we do, for example, the children will learn how to prune a tree. I let them go on the big fig trees and they have great fun chopping them right back. And they learn how to prune a tree to produce fruit. And then they're no longer afraid of doing it themselves. They'll learn how to, I can't think of all the different things. They learn how to make olives, pickle olives
okay.
in olive season. If they'd come earlier, they couldn't come in February because of the pandemic, because we could only have a limit of 10. But if they come during that time, they would have made tomato sauce with tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the many different things you can do if you're producing your own food. They'll learn how to preserve peaches, how to dry fruit. That's just in the preserving and dry. That's just in the preserving. But we also have a lot of focus on care of the earth and care of people. So that's included in it as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so unfortunately for what you just got from all the my devices, we have to close the episode for today.
That's all right.
But that's what we can do. Next time we're gonna do something a bit better. So thank you very much for having us, Joe, over here today, and hopefully this event was a successful event like a previous. And then we look to see the next one or what's happening the next, because now that we know that you're over here, we definitely want to know more of what's going to happen and what you organize over here.
Thank you very much, Simone.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the people that's following it, they've been following us on the radio. See you the next time over here on the AgriAdventures channel. And today we go out without the video. Bye bye. Ciao.